Hello again. I'm going to continue here with the horror on DVD series. This time we'll go from a D all the way to letter K. In the previous video I did A through C, and I've also done all my Blu-rays on a separate video. So here we go. Let's try to get rid of this glare here. We'll start here with Dagon, which is a pretty decent movie. It's based on H.P. Lovecraft's stories, though not one particular one. It just is a mishmash of several of them. You know, combines one of them that is, I believe, called Dagon, and also The Shadow over Innsmouth. So there's several Lovecraftian elements here in this one. You know, it's a low budget, so it does what it can, but you know, it kind of doesn't really reach its goal. It's just okay. We'll go now here with, well, this one isn't really a horror movie, but because it's got great white sharks in it, I'll include it. It's Dark Tide here with Halle Berry, and it's about a woman who lives in South Africa, and she swims with great white sharks. She's a scientist, and she also provides tours to see the sharks and over there. But of course, she is hired by somebody who actually wants to swim with the great whites. So there, after that, terror ensues. Dark Tide. You know, some people hate on it, but I think it's pretty decent. Then we go to another much better shark movie. Here we have the Deep Blue Sea with Thomas Jane, LL Cool J, Michael Rappaport, Stellan Skarsgård, and Samuel L. Jackson in a small role here. And well, this is not a great white shark movie. It's I believe they use, I cannot remember the species, but it's another species. But anyway, they are tampered with scientifically, which makes them grow to a much larger size. And it's all set on a marine base. It's got some pretty good moments. A Deep Blue Sea. Now we have here a rather odd movie. It's called Deep in the Woods. This is a French movie, though it has a very strong influence from Italian movies, from like maybe the Dario Argento type of or Lucio Fulci type of movies, where the storyline is a bit confusing here. You know, Deep in the Woods, it's a group of actors that go to a mansion to perform a play at the request of the owner of the mansion, who was a rich man. After that, you know, the killings start, and well, it's like I said, the story is a bit muddled, but interesting. You know, interesting to look at. It's a French movie. Then we have here a Dracula. This is I believe the 1979 version here with Frank Langella and Laurence Olivier. A very much presenting Dracula in a very romantic light, and it's got some pretty good visuals. You know, it's a very good. It's one of the very first Dracula movies that I saw. I think I do remember seeing this in the movie theater. You know, way back when, and it's got some pretty good moments. I like it. I do want to upgrade this to Blu-ray if I can. It's got the. In fact, I don't think I've watched this again. You know, I may have watched it on a VHS a long time ago, but I don't think I watched this DVD in particular, and I certainly have not watched the commentary there with the director. So I want to get to that. Then we have here a Dracula 2000. Wes Craven presents, though I believe this is not actually directed by Wes Craven. Let's take a look here. No, it is not. Directed by Patrick Lussier. Alright. A lot of special features which I have not seen yet also. It puts a Dracula in the modern setting. As you can see, it's got this um, beautiful young people cast, which is very much in vogue at the time. Well, it still is, you know. Dracula 2000. Here, Dracula is played by Gerard Butler, who at the time was not really that famous. You know, this was one of the very first roles, and he is not even shown here on the credits. You know, the top credits. Christopher Plummer also appears in this movie as Van Helsing. Let's move on. I in fact have, I don't know why, I have two versions of it here. This is, I believe, a Region 4 version, and this is a Region 1. Alright, but I don't know how second the copy got into my collection. And then we have here another vampire movie, Embrace of the Vampire with Alyssa Milano. What can you say? Here we have the unrated and the R-rated versions of the feature. Of course, you want to see the unrated version. And, well, main reason to get this is a lot of nudity right there by the beautiful Miss Milano. A very sexy vampire movie that this is. Widescreen and full screen versions of the film. It's a decent movie, as vampire movies go. Decent. Like I said, the erotic aspects are really the main reason to get this movie. Let's go on to here, one of my favorite movies from the 80s. Here, The Entity, and another one that I really want to upgrade to Blu-ray. Here, Barbara Hershey stars as a woman that is stalked or haunted by by a demon. You know, the demon is itself invisible, and this demon rapes her repeatedly. At first, nobody believes her, you know, until a group of scientists try to, in fact, make some sense of it and even document the phenomenon or try to capture this demon. All right, The Entity. It's a pretty good movie. I like it. Like I said, if I can, I want to upgrade this one to Blu-ray. Let's go to the much maligned and unfairly, in my opinion, Exorcist II: The Heretic. This one is directed by John Boorman. You know, this is an ambitious movie. It's got a lot of things going on and I think that's why a lot of people hate on it. You know, some saying that it's just total trash. It is not. Give this one another chance if you can. You know, I think it's got a decent story. Linda Blair here, of course, was a bit older when she made this movie, though still a teenager, I believe. Richard Burton also appears, and Louise Fletcher. It's got a pretty good cast. Exorcist II: The Heretic. I, of course, do have Exorcist 1 on Blu-ray and also Exorcist 3 on Blu-ray. Then we have here Fear Itself. You can't see the here we have you see the Spanish title on the box. As I've said, I live in Mexico, so that's where I get these movies. This one, I believe I got it for extremely cheap. Here they're 10 pesos right there on this video rental store that was going out of business. Fear Itself, it's really more of a mystery thriller with some psychological horror aspects. It's okay. It's okay. Bought it mainly because it stars Gina Phillips there, who we know from Jeepers Creepers. And then we have here, well, again, you see the title in Spanish, La Niebla, but this is in fact, John Carpenter's The Fog. All right, right there, one of the most famous movies. This is one of the movies that I never saw back when it originally came out. Curiously enough, and I know this is considered a classic, but it's not really. I didn't really do it that much for me, you know. I thought it was okay, but considered a classic, I don't know. Of course, Adrienne Barbeau looks great on this movie, and as does Jamie Lee Curtis. All right, The Fog. And now we move on here to this a TV miniseries adaptation of Frankenstein there with Luke Goss, Alec Newman, Julie Delpy, William Hurt and Donald Sutherland. This sticks very closely, I believe, to the original novel. I have not read the original novel, but I believe it does stick closely to it because it is told in everything in flashback form, in narrated form, as Dr. Frankenstein tells the entire story here to a ship captain played by Donald Sutherland. All right, so that's the entire movie is him telling the story in a flashback. It's a miniseries, so it is long, and a bit too long for my opinion. I don't think this warranted such a long treatment. It does drag on quite a bit in places, but still there are some interesting aspects to it, and also the creature, which you can see right there, is not really very menacing. There's a lot of a soul searching and feeling sorry for himself with this particular Frankenstein monster, which gets a bit tedious after a while. Okay, Frankenstein. Then we have here another one called Frankenstein, and this one is based, I believe, on a book by Dean Koontz, if I am not mistaken. Well, I cannot really read right there the small letters, but yes, I believe it is based on a Dean Koontz series of books that he made, where we have the Frankenstein creature in a modern day setting. This one is well, this particular DVD is very unfulfilling because the story is not complete. The story ends and there's like, what, it just leaves you hanging. So, and not based on the original novel, like I said, just on a reimagining. And then yet another Frankenstein movie. We have here Frankenstein Unbound, Roger Corman's Frankenstein Unbound. Excuse me. Where we have a John Hurt and a Raul Julia, both scientists. John Hurt, a scientist from the future, and Raul Julia as Dr. Frankenstein himself. The design of the creature here is very interesting, and I do enjoy this movie. It mixes science fiction with the horror. Literally, it starts in the future, then goes to the past. There's in fact a time travel involved here, and also Bridget Fonda appears in this movie as well. Frankenstein Unbound. There's also a book called Frankenstein Unbound, which I have read, but it is not. It has nothing to do with this movie. We go on here to one of the Nightmare on Elm Street films, the sixth one, which was called not Nightmare on Elm Street 6. It was called Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare. And by this moment, the series had just gone completely downhill, and even you can tell by the title, The Final Nightmare, where even the studio was saying, okay, we've had enough. It's just we've milked it for as much as we can, and we're just going to end it. I do have this one on a Blu-ray, but the reason I want to keep this one is because it is autographed to me by the actress here, Lisa Zane, as you can see, which I happened to meet in one of her personal appearances. She's also a singer, and so I went to see her sing, and I waited around backstage, and she was kind enough to sign this for me, as well as another video that I have, which she's in a TV series called Dinotopia. All right, well, but I'm afraid that this movie is not really much to look at. It's just Freddy has just degenerated into somebody that just spouts one-liners throughout the entire movie. It's pretty ridiculous. When it came out in the theaters, it was also in 3D. Well, not the entire movie. There was a section of the movie that was in 3D. I did see it when it came out in theaters, but I did not see it in 3D. Just in normal 2D. We go now to the Gamera Legacy Collection. No less than 11 movie sets right there. And yes, that's what I paid for it. $7.50 right there at Kmart. I have to get rid of that sticker. And well, $7.50 for 11 movies, pretty damn good deal. And Gamera, if you don't know it, it's kind of like the poor man's Godzilla. There's been a lot of Gamera movies, as you can see. I don't know if these 11 movies are all of them. You know, I'd have to check on that. But the first one I believe is in black and white, and all the rest are in color. And at first, Gamera is an evil creature, you know, that must be destroyed. But then he becomes a good guy, and even like a hero to children. There's even a theme song that goes along whenever Gamera appears, you know, coming to save the day. All right, if you like your Japanese giant monster movies, this is the one to get. Here we have, once again, we have the Spanish title, Almas Malditas, but this is in fact The Gathering, movie with Christina Ricci. Less horror and more mystery, but it does have an interesting premise. I did see it when it first came out in movie theaters. And, you know, nothing to write home about, but still a decent mystery movie with some religious supernatural elements, which I thought were an interesting addition. Okay, The Gathering. We're getting down here to the last pile, and of course here we have the Godzilla. This is the more recent, at least until the making of this video, American version of Godzilla. There has been a newer Japanese Godzilla, but this is the latest American version. And even though I would have liked to have seen more of Godzilla himself and less of the whole ridiculous backstory with all of these other characters, you know, and it's still okay. I liked it. I did see it when it came out in movie theaters. It's pretty good. I think also the Godzilla creature looks good, even though very fat for some reason. I don't know why they decided to go to have a fat Godzilla, but there you go. All right. And more Godzilla goodness here. We have a 2-pack, a double feature with Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah and Godzilla and Mothra. All right. Well, just by those titles, you know exactly what you're getting. Giant monster movie mayhem at its best. Pretty good stuff. We now continue here with the Grudge, unrated extended director's cut. I did see this when it first came out in movie theaters, and I don't really see what the difference is from the regular theatrical cut. You know, unless I did a side-by-side comparison, but I don't have any theatrical cut in my collection. But anyway, this was in fact my first exposure to J-horror or Asian horror. Even though I know this is not an Asian movie per se, it does follow that style. All right, and yes, when it first came out, it really made an impact on me. I mean, it was pretty scary stuff. Here, The Grudge. And I have seen the original Japanese version, even though I do not have it on in my collection. And now, holy crap, here we have a movie that really lives up to its title, High Tension. This French movie is exactly that, an extremely tense film. You know, it's a slasher movie, and with some psychological horror elements. And this movie is loved and hated, and more hated, in fact, than loved, because of its twist ending, which I will not give away here. This twist ending to many people, including myself, makes absolutely no sense. You know, because things within the movie itself make it seem that that it just doesn't make sense. This is the unrated version. It's got some pretty brutal scenes in it, and like I said, a very tense movie. I did see this when it originally came out in movie theaters, and I remember I was the only one in the movie theater, so you can imagine, you know, I was just there shitting myself. High Tension, a French movie. That's the actress Cécile de France right there. We now go here to The Howling 2. You know, excuse me. No, this is The Howling, not The Howling 2. Sorry about that. And this is the original Howling. Of course, one of the best werewolf movies ever made. I still consider it a close second behind American Werewolf in London, but still really, really good. All right. And this, curiously enough, this is one of the very first horror novels that I ever read. You know, I did read the original novel that this is based on, even though it has a very little in common with the movie. All right, The Howling, another one that I want to upgrade to Blu-ray. Oh, I hate it when they stick like that. Here we have a Jennifer's Shadow. Here again, the Spanish title, El Horror Detrás de las Paredes, which means the horror behind the walls. Again, bought it because Gina Phillips is in it. And Gina Phillips and Faye Dunaway. I mean, what a pairing right there. Again, a very interesting movie. I thought it's pretty good, and it's a mystery story with supernatural elements to it. And it's filmed in South America. I don't know if it was filmed. I can't remember if it was Argentina where it was filmed, or I'm not sure, but it was filmed in South America, and that gives the movie, you know, a very special touch. It has this strange setting to it. So whenever you have a movie that is set in a unique setting, that adds to the story, in my opinion. Here, okay, so Jennifer's Shadow, pretty good movie, like it. We now go here with, of course, another classic, Jaws. We have here, whenever you see these stickers right there, which I really have to take out. No, it means that I bought them at Blockbuster, you know, in their used DVD section. I do have this on Blu-ray. What can you say? You know, still has not been topped as the greatest shark movie ever made. Jaws. Now we have here two versions of King Kong. This is the Peter Jackson remake. Here we have this 2-disc limited edition of the movie, and here we have the deluxe extended edition, which is in fact the 3 discs with the movie on 2 discs and all the special features on one. And this one, I believe that it has the entire movie on 1 disc, though I can't remember really very well. All right. Well, yes, I did like this movie. The prologue to the movie, you know, before they get to Skull Island, does go on a little bit too long, but still, and even more so in the extended cut, you know, and they do go a little bit overboard in painting Godzilla as a, you know, a sympathetic creature, you know, the whole Beauty and the Beast type of situation, you know, instead of him being just a wild monster. But that's okay. I do enjoy King Kong, you know. And yes, I do have the original King Kong on a DVD, but I'm going to show that as well as other movies that I have in a separate video where I show all of my classic horror, you know, like Dracula, Frankenstein, King Kong, and the like. Now we go to the last one here, last and yes, least. Now we go to the last movie, and in this time it is usually say last but not least, but in this case, yes, least. We have a King of the Lost World, which is just a King Kong ripoff with this King Kong, well, rather this giant gorilla creature that appears only in the very end of the movie. So not very convincing, and also a lot of really crappy CGI effects, and with a derivative, excuse me, story right there. Even though this movie does star Bruce Boxleitner and Steve Railsbacks, who are two, you know, pretty good actors. King of the Lost World. Well, that'll do it for my second portion of my DVD collection. And I will do maybe two more to finish it out until the letter Z. Until then, thank you very much for watching, and so long.